What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got an absolutely insane replay for you guys. It was sent to me by the homeboy Alex Gand, and this might be the most spectacular turn one I have ever seen. At least the board just becomes so good. It's actually magnificent when you see the end results and kind of how it plays out. And man, I'm really starting to believe, guys, that I know I did my banless discussion and I forgot to mention it, but man, we might start having to look at Level Eater as a potential ban-worthy card because the card is just so ridiculously combo-licious. And I know some of these decks are like super obscure and they're kind of like completely go first and basically go off. I'm talking about rev it up on your opponent or you basically lose. But it's like, man, if you run into one of these decks and they go off on you at like a premier event, like a regional or YCS, you're gonna be so mad because you just think like they won the coin toss or they won the rock, paper, scissors, and they end up winning the duel because first and second, they just completely go off and wreck you. So this will be a board where he actually ends up summoning 3 copies of Quasar and 2 Sifir dragons, which honestly, when I saw that title, I was like, wait a minute. My mind is about to be blown because like just the pure logistics of that, I don't even think it's possible, right? Like what it takes to make Stardust, you need 3 different cards, and like how could you possibly make basically 5 copies of Quasar? You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make any sense. So anyways, it's definitely going to happen. It got to run a couple of gimmicky cards, but it's gonna happen, guys. And let me first off show you guys a couple of cards. I just want to talk about these cards for a minute because they're both coming out in Dark Illusion, so some people might not know about them. First off, there's what's it called, Blackwing Gofu. This card I didn't really think was that good, but actually it's quite amazing, and the Japanese players love it. It's seeing a lot of play in this new deck called Dark Synchro, which I might talk about tomorrow on this channel because it's a really interesting deck. It's basically like a super like synchro-centric card, and obviously Konami made it for you to use it in Black Wings, but people are using it in other decks, but they're mainly just synchro decks. It's a level 5 Winged Beast tuner. The stats are 0/0, but you special summon it to the field if you don't have any monsters on the field. Now you can get a couple of tokens, some shadow tokens, but you can't use those as synchro material, and you can't tribute those tokens either. So it's not a lot you can do with them. I mean, they can absorb attacks, but mainly what you want to do with this guy is just, I mean, he provides you with a level 5 tuner. So I mean, he allows you to get to the high level synchros very easily. And then there's this other card, the Assault Blackwing Sahaya, the Rainstorm. This card is incredible. Again, this is another card that I just didn't think this card was that good, but holy moly, in a deck like this where you're spamming synchros over and over again, this card is actually quite broken. For starters, if you synchro this card using using a Blackwing monster as a material, it turns itself into a tuner, and the reason that that's relevant is because it's a level 5, meaning that if you level eat off of it, it becomes a level 4, and you can synchro into another copy. So you can do this like you can do this a couple of times, and you got to think while you have TG Hyper Librarian, you're just drawing cards and drawing cards. But the second effect is even stupider. Like it's just so good. It says when this card is synchro summoned, you can target 1 Assault Blackwing monster in your graveyard, special summon it. That means you can basically summon 1 copy and get the other copy right back. And that's just dumb. Like, it's so freaking combo-licious. Now, obviously, when Konami was designing this, they weren't thinking people were going to be playing Level Eater and whatnot. But you know what, man? People make these combos up. So I'm going to make this full screen, guys, and we're going to go over the combo. Now, he did, before he started recording this, he did activate Magical Mallet. He sent his entire hand back, and then he normal summoned the Gofu, and then he just he special summoned Gofu in defense mode, and then he went to Shiranui Sage. Now, the reason you see the zombie engine used in so many of these decks is the fact is it's so good. Like it can get level eaters out of your hand. Actually, hold on, I'm sorry. This is going a little too fast. I had it running at 2 times speed. I'm going to make it go 1.5 times speed just so I can explain stuff. I watched it at 2 times speed so I could kind of figure out what the heck is going on. But you're going to see the level eating. You're going to see him going to, the Assault Blackwing. And again, the entire time that he's doing this, he's drawing cards. So he level eats, makes it a level 4. Then he goes into a second copy, draws more cards off of TG Hyper Librarian. And then you get to just summon your second copy back from the graveyard for free. So it's just so ridiculous. And you just keep level eating. And then you just keep going into more copies zombies, and you will just keep drawing cards. Like the amount of cards that you draw in this is, you can actually deck yourself out playing this deck. So he's going to go into, you know, Excel Synchron. That's pretty popular in this deck. You're going to see so much draw power. Basically, outside of the core monsters that you're going to run in this deck, like the zombies and the level eaters, obviously, and the Gofus, you're just going to run a whole bunch of draw support. Like, you know, this deck would actually be even crazier in the OCG, where they have Chicken Game, and they have things like triple upstart, but you're still going to run in the TCG. You're going to run your magical mallets. You're going to run your upstart. Allure of Darkness is at 2, so you're going to run, you know, a couple of copies of that. You're going to run things like Into the Void, because it doesn't matter. You don't care about your hand during the end phase. Now, he does make Power Tool Dragon, and you use Power Tool Dragon because you can play Symbol of Heritage, and you get DDR. The Assault Black Queen can actually banish itself for another effect, so it's pretty cool. But the reason that you see so many of these decks running like the zombie engine, and you see here he's going to make Formula Synchron so that he can go into Quasar 1, is because when you run the zombie engine, A, it lets you get level eaters out of your hand. You can discard them to the graveyard. B, it lets you play Mizuki, and it lets you get Mizukis in the graveyard. Now, this version is cool because he's actually running Zombie World, and what's good about Zombie World is Zombie World allows you to take your Mizukis and basically Monster Reborn anything. So it makes it super easy to get into those level 12 synchros like Quasar. So you see he summons Quasar 1. He's going to activate that Zombie World. And now everything in his graveyard's a zombie. And you see he's got a couple of Mizukis in there. So now he can just keep on summoning whatever he wants. Now, again, Level Eater's probably going to be used about 20 times in this tool. So try and keep up. And this is one of the variants that runs multiple Formula Synchrons. We all know how broken Formula Synchron plus TG Hyper Librarian is, because you get to draw 2 cards. It's basically a pot of greed. Once you start drawing into your other cards, like Into the Void, it's just, you know, you get your entire deck rolling. And you see he only has 8 cards left in his deck because of how many cards he's drawn. Now, when he goes for the play that allows him to make the full board, I'll pause and I'll do a little explaining here. You see he's going to go DDR. It keeps asking him for Quasar because obviously Quasar can negate anything. This time he will synchro once again, and he's not going to activate Soul Charge. You'll always use Soul Charge in these decks just because you have to run Soul Charge. It completes the second half of the combo. Right now, he's trying to get to the second, what's it called? Right now, he's trying to get to, or excuse me, he's trying to get to the third Quasar. And for the most part, he pretty much has it. You see that he has 2, or he has his formula, and he has a 5. Now all he has to do is revive a level 5 Synchro using Mizuki. Again, everything in his graveyard is a zombie. So he can bust out the third Quasar, and he only has 3 cards in his deck. He doesn't want to draw anything. Now, here's the crazy part, right? You actually have to turn off your Quasar. So you activate Level Eater and you negate all you constantly negate the Level Eaters. And the reason you do that is because you need your Quasars offline, because you're going to give them to your opponent and you're actually going to have to use Soul Charge to get the other monsters. So you see he has his 3 Quasars, but he's used all the negate. Now, here's the card that people probably don't know about, and this is one of the most obscure cards in Yu-Gi-Oh, but it actually makes this combo possible. It's called Sheen Spy, and essentially you take a face-up monster that you control and you give it to your opponent, or excuse me, yeah, face-up monster you control, and you give it to your opponent until the end phase. This is what frees your field up. Because think about it, right? You need 3 monster zones to make a copy of Quasar or Sifir Dragon. That wouldn't be possible if you already had 3 Quasars on the board, which is why I thought this isn't possible. Like, how do you get rid of the monsters? So you have to use 3 copies of Sheen Spy in this deck, because you got to give 3 copies of Quasar to your opponent so that you can free the monster zones up so that you can go for your big Soul Charge play. So that's what he's doing. And if your Quasars are still online, your opponent could negate one of them. Honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. If you make 3 Quasars, you're going to win anyways. But, I mean, the play wouldn't look as cool, though. Like, at this point, you're not going just to win. You're going for swag points. So you're going to pay 5,000 life points. Obviously, you're going to revive your formulas back. You're going to revive your Assault Black Wings. And once again, Mizuki, just activate, get you whatever you need. Everything in the grave is a zombie, so it makes it super easy to go for whatever you want. Keep in mind, during your end phase, you still have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards give or take, in your entire deck. So, or excuse me, in your hand. So you're doing this entire play where these Quasars are going to come back during the end phase, but you still have like over half a dozen cards in your hand. It's ridiculous. Now, the only thing I could think of that like could actually save your opponent would be like something like Spirit Reaper, something that can't be destroyed by battle, but that doesn't activate, because obviously things like Marshmallow, the second you try and activate that burn effect, it's going to get negated. Now, again, once you get this filled, yeah, you've used some life points. You've given your opponent 1,000 with Upstart. You paid 1 billion life points with Soul Charge, but how they getting through this field though? Just please let me know. Don't tell me nothing about no lava golems, because even that would only get rid, like that would still leave your opponent with like a Quasar plus 2 Sifirs and a lava golem. So like that doesn't work either. There's like no way I can think of other than like setting Spirit Reaper, installing until they deck out. So you see, obviously, he's just going to kill him here. Way too much damage. And this is just a crazy replay. And I was like, man, I got to show this to people. So once again, man, thank you for showing me this so that I can share it with people. Because for all of you guys who are fans of synchros and just kind of like the 5Ds era in general, I know that people will definitely like this. And when when Dark Illusion comes out in a couple of weeks, this will be 100% TCG legal. We can't play it now because the cards are not officially out, but in a couple of weeks, telling you, man, you guys are gonna run into this deck. Somebody's gonna rage quit. Thank you guys for watching as always.